There is a lot going on in the world of politics, and to dive into some of those headlines this morning, we're joined by Republican strategist Jackie Bally and Democratic strategist Dallas Jones. Good morning to you both. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
We're going to start with the ongoing battle over the citizenship question on the 2020 census. The Justice Department is bringing in a new legal team to take over the case. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, they should, because the Supreme Court said that the question itself is not illegal. But however, the way that they presented and the reasoning that the lawyers presented as to why they wanted it on the census was not clear. And that's why they kicked it back. And they also were not clear, the lawyers were not clear, in making sure that we all were reminded that the census was on the citizenship question was on the census up until 2009. There were two forms, a short form and a long form. And the citizenship question was on the long form, and that was eliminated in 2009. So this is a question that we have seen for decades upon decades until that year.
I am always shocked how, you know, people can at 1 minute take the Supreme Court's word and run with it, and in another minute say, well, you know, there's some issues, there's some nuances. What the Supreme Court has said is that the U.S. Census is to count the population, the amount of people here in our country, documented, undocumented. And what we know is that to put a question around citizenship is a barrier to us getting an accurate count of those individuals living within our borders, whether documented or undocumented. The barriers should be removed, and we should be able to get a proper count to adequately provide services and understand who is actually existing here in this country. It's an unnecessary question. The court has said so, and it ought to be let go.
Well, a new poll is showing that President Trump is at his highest approval rating, and when you look at it, he still has some obstacles to overcome before Election Day.
Yes, most presidents do, but the one thing that the president has going for him going into this re-election, as we've discussed on your show before, is that our economy is thriving. And many people look at their wallets, see how their family's budget is doing when they decide in who they're going to vote for. This president has had record numbers and low unemployment rates. He's had record numbers in the number of new jobs that have been created throughout his presidency, and that will continue to resonate with the voters, and that's why his polling is going to continue to rise leading up to the 2020 election.
We do this over and over and over. We talk about the economy, which frankly we know that there are parts of this economy that rises and falls, and many of which this president didn't create, but even more so, the highest approval rating ever. Words matter. At the end of the day, this president has his highest approval rating from being in the toilet since he started 4 years ago, and that isn't that high. The majority of Americans, 53%, still disapprove of his job. And while we talk about the economy, his rating is in the tank on things like immigration, on things like reproductive rights, on things like human rights. When those issues in the same poll were released, it's in the toilet. So at the end of the day, coming up from nothing, respectively, Jackie, coming up from nothing isn't that amazing? Bravo for the president. He got 5 points higher than he was as being the worst rated president in the history of our country.
Now, we could continue this conversation, but we're running out of time. Always a lively discussion on a Monday morning with
I had a lot of coffee.
Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Look forward to your continued comments as we move towards the election. Thank you.